what do you do as a 22-year-old widow who has 2 children and all your future was dependent on the husband you just buried? Well, Maria del Refugio returned to her family's home in San Miguel de Allende, Guanajuato, where at least she would have a roof over her head and the support of her parents. This was very hard for her, but she had no choice. Soon, tragedy struck again, as her son died the next year. A sadness overtook her. She kept going for her daughter, but you can only imagine the darkness after such a loss. She was still young and had an attractive personality. She tried to live a normal life, going to the theater, helping in the house, and doing some work here and there for the church. She did all this while still caring for and teaching her daughter. Her only hope in such darkness was God. God pulled her out of the darkness by calling her to the Franciscan Third Order, where a deep devotion to the Blessed Sacrament was formed in her heart. She taught catechesis and prepared children for their first communion. She realized quickly, however, that if she wanted them to believe in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, she first had to show them that she truly believed. So she began to go to adoration and foster her own relationship with Jesus in the Eucharist. So a year later, in 1896, when the Franciscans organized the first Ignatian spiritual exercises, she was for sure on the list of retreatants. It was Holy Week, and Maria del Refugio attended the spiritual exercises by bringing the comforts of her own home. She brought her couch, her own rug, even her own servants. But as the week continued, she began sending more and more things home until she came out on Good Friday, barefoot, with a purple robe and a crown of thorns. This was optional garb during the retreat to show that a person really had a desire to be united with Christ. Her conversion was undeniable, and what is incredible is that she involved her daughter in all of it. Going to Mass, cleaning the chapel, visiting the sick and prisoners, even going on the retreat. Maria Teresa, her daughter, was with her, learning from her mother's fidelity. Maria Teresa was firm. She would not keep bad company or be exposed to vulgar topics. She was raised to be respectful, prudent, and free. While Maria del Refugio had a deep desire to be a nun, she never forced this idea on her daughter, but encouraged her to seek the will of God. A woman of foresight, Maria del Refugio saw that times were changing and education was very important and would be necessary for young women. So when the time came, naturally, she did what she could to put her daughter, Maria Teresa, in boarding school and then attend a teacher training college where she would graduate as a school teacher. When you look at it, God used Maria del Refugio's motherhood to bring her to discover the plan He intended for her life, bringing the experiences and people into her path, who eventually encouraged her to found a religious congregation devoted precisely to that, to the Blessed Sacrament. I think it's very important to talk about Maria del Refugio as mother because that's who she was. Of course, she was the beloved daughter of the Father, but also the Father, in His will and wisdom, He wanted her to be a mother. Not only a spiritual mother, but also a biological mother. And she learned from that experience of being a biological mother to become a spiritual mother to many, many sisters. See, but the influence of Maria del Refugio as a mother is not only meant for her sisters. As an example of a woman striving for holiness, her example also goes to the whole world. So for biological mothers, for mothers that have their children, she is for sure an intercessor, a very strong intercessor, because she knows of their pains. She knew of the pains of losing a child. She knew of the pains of having a child getting education in school, having difficulty with friends. She knows of all the experiences that moms go through. And I imagine that she intercedes for them. For Maria del Refugio, family was very important. She came from a well-knitted family. Having had her own children, she learned how to make a family function, how to keep a family together. So it is just obvious that when she founded our community, she wanted our community to be a great family. In Spanish, because it was a foundation made in Mexico, she says, La Gran Casa de Familia. So a big house in which all the families together, not only the nuclear family, but the extended family too. And she translated that into our community. For us, we spend so much time in community. We spend so much time eating, praying, recreating, because we have to be bonded together so we can show to the world. We want to show to the world really what the Holy Trinity is. The Holy Trinity is a family, and we wish, hopefully God is using us so we can be an icon of that family life of the Trinity and show it to the whole world that it is possible with the grace of God.